episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. I got that I looked like Elvis Presley again. I've gotten that a few times, so I was just like, hey, but we're good. Well, I
I
just had to, I had
mean,
to feel it. I had to feel it.
I get Donnie Wahlberg all the time, so I don't go, it's just, maybe we should go on tour together. So I don't know,
Right. I feel like it's just the way I style my hair, but it's fine.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Fine. But man, it's been a while. How are you doing, brother?
I am doing fantastic. Every time we get together, we do this. It's my favorite day of the week, bro. I love to talk about what we love in the industry that we are in, even when it isn't all good.
Yeah, seriously, man, seriously. And we've had a lot going on behind the scenes, a lot of
sure.
family stuff. It's some positive, some, a little roller coastery, but that's all good. That's all a part of life. But we explained and talked a little bit about that stuff on our latest episode of Everything's Okay podcast.
Yes.
We just came out with another episode of that this past Wednesday, so everybody be sure to check that out. And we also know that you guys are loving our Marvel rankings episode. I know that definitely got a lot of people questioning their loyalty to us and to us to Marvel. So it's been a lot of fun getting everybody's interaction.
Hey, I'm not the one who said I liked the first Hulk movie, okay? I'm not the one who said that.
Oh my goodness. It's okay. You judged me for putting Iron Man at number 6, but then you put yours at number 5. So it's fine. It's fine.
Hey, it's fine.
It's so funny. But I'm glad everybody's enjoying that. I'm glad everybody's enjoying this extra bonus content, like the How Well Do We Know Each Other video and all of these different things. We're trying to put all of this extra content out there during the strike so you guys can have a little fun with it and still stay a little crazy. But man, oh man, we're super excited to be back with another episode of ITCAFpodcast. So let's get into it. What's up, guys? Welcome back, like I said, to another episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Holy moly, it is episode 231.
You hear that?
Oh my goodness.
You hear that? That's 250, Colin. It's right around the corner, man. 250 is right around the corner. Can you even believe that?
Dude, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, just thank you, everybody, for letting us stay around this long.
Right?
I know we're crazy. I know we speak out of the box a little bit, but, I hope it's enjoyable for everybody.
It is in the name.
Know your host. Exactly. But you guys know your host with the most, myself, J-Lo Fantastic, and the one and only Mouth.
What's up?
And before teasing the rest of the show, be sure to leave a rating on this podcast, comment below wherever you're listening to, and be sure to tell us what you actually think about the show, because leaving a rating actually helps this podcast get seen by more people who enjoy the entertainment news, and especially those who are breaking into the entertainment industry.
For sure.
It's very important. We're trying to give them all of that information so that they have abilities to have conversations when they get into the room where it happens. But we're super excited about this episode because there's a lot going down. It's some unfortunate event, as we've been talking about before, that Bob Iger has been made out to be the bad guy of the strikes because of his comments that he made a couple weeks ago.
So
we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Does he backtrack a little bit?
Yeah, a little redemption. Maybe the old Bob that we know and love. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll let the fans be the judge.
That's right.
We'll let the fans be the judge of it. But before we get started with this episode, be sure to head over to our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. As you see, we are rocking some new merch for the episode. We're super happy with it. I just love being able to support the brand and be the brand, because we are the faces of Crazy Ant Media. And so to be able to support and love it the way we do, it's something special, man.
And you guys love the brand and recognize it. I can't tell. It's so awesome. Anytime we wear the gear and we are out in public, someone comes up to us and knows it. They know the brand. They know Bonk. They know Crazy Ant. That just means so much to us, guys, that the logo and that the brand and our product is out there and that people recognize it and love it. So get yourself some gear. You'll see what we're talking about. Somebody will come up to you, I guarantee, and say, "Is that Crazy Ant? I know that." that? It's so amazing, man.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why you have to follow us at Crazy Ant Media and at ITCAFpodcast so that you can know when we have promo sales with the merchandise. So you
Heck
can
yeah.
get stuff for a little bit cheaper. So that's always nice. That's
Yes.
always nice. Well, we do want to start with the Rust topic. Everybody remembers when the tragic death of Helena Hutchins happened. We're keeping you updated with everything that's going on with that. So, of course, like I said, we begin this industry news with an update on the trial where the verdict could have had huge implications in the film and television industry in the future. A New Mexico judge has scheduled the manslaughter trial in the Rush shooting to begin on December 6th. Now, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who's 26, faces charges of involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence in connection to the accidental shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. She faces up to 3 years in prison if convicted. Now, Gutierrez Reed submitted a not guilty plea in writing on Wednesday, waiving her right to appear for a formal arraignment. She had previously waived her right for a preliminary hearing on the charges. Gutierrez Reed was the armorer on the Rust, the low-budget Western starring Alec Baldwin, as you all know. She loaded a Colt 45 revolver that Baldwin was holding when it fired, killing Hutchins and wounding the film's director. Now, prosecutors have alleged that she has failed to properly check all of the rounds if they were dummies or not, which would be reasonable, real bullets, but not certain if not contain a projectile. Now, the prosecution has also claimed that Gutierrez Reed may have been hung over at the time. Oh, that's not good. Though the defense had adamantly denied that her judgment was impaired. Now, Gutierrez Reed is charged with handing off a bag of cocaine to someone else after being questioned about the shooting. The prosecution alleges that she did so in order to impede the investigation and hide damaging evidence. Now, Judge Mary Merlot Sommer scheduled the trial to run from December 6th through the 15th. Now, jury selection will take place on December 5th. Now, the drugs and being hungover is something that I did not know about. So that is absolutely wild. Even more so, it's obvious that she was tampering with things. She was trying to cover up her tracks. So that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I remember us talking about some of the crew members saying that they were drunk and shooting at, cans and bottles the night before. And that's how some might have thought that the real bullets accidentally got put in the guns because she never unloaded them.
Right.
But this is the first I'm hearing about cocaine. Like, it's one thing to be drunk the next morning, but if you were high on cocaine and that's what you're hungover on, no wonder you're trying to hide the evidence. Look, and I'm not necessarily sure I agree with involuntary manslaughter. Like, if she was doing drugs the night before and she knew that she did not unload that gun or check those guns, that's not involuntary. That's on purpose. Like not planned. Obviously, it wasn't planned. So maybe it has to be some sort of a premeditation to get full out manslaughter. But 3 years. I mean, she was high, allegedly high. Didn't check the gun. Had real bullets in the gun, and this woman is dead. And you're saying 3 years?
Yeah.
That seems fucked up to me, bro. Like, I mean, I think it should just be way more than that.
Yeah, with the amount of responsibility you have with using either live or dummy rounds, like you need to make sure you're on your A game no matter what, so nobody gets hurt, so an unfortunate event like this does not happen. So yeah, that's absolutely wild. It's definitely something that we're going to keep on top of and keep reporting on as the trial gets closer and is going forth.
Yeah, so, because if somehow this verdict ends up in her favor, what implications does that have moving forward for other people with firearms on the set?
Right.
If she somehow gets off, you're saying, fuck around, who cares? It's all good. I mean, we can't have that happen. We speak from experience. Our film involved a gun. Our firing pin was removed. Our gun wasn't even able to fire, and we checked that shit numerous times. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's
Yeah.
reckless. Like you said, we're going to keep an eye on it. I just think it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, even with us not even getting any bullets or anything, no dummy rounds, no real rounds, we still made sure to check every single time because a lot of people are handling it. So
Yeah.
you don't want to have something bad happen. So
No.
you just have to be very careful with these type of things.
You sure do, man. All right, so now let's shift. Let's go to the next biggie in Hollywood that everybody's talking about that also could have huge implications on the future of the industry. I'm, of course, talking about the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. As you all know, the writers and actors remain on strike, but there may be a light at the end of the tunnel, at least for one of the guilds. Now, here are the latest updates. SAG-AFTRA has revealed more thinking behind its decision on its interim agreements, with the leadership saying the initiative is, quote, now get this, y'all, designed to undermine the production slates and timing of the AMPTP companies to ensure that they come back to the table. So they're playing hardball, bro. They're intentionally allowing these movies to continue under these interim agreements to try to force the studios to come to the table. That's so crazy. President Fran Drescher and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland lifted the lid on the agreements, which have been awarded to well over 100 TV and film projects, which is just crazy to me. The comments come after much debate about the agreements from many stars of the likes like Sarah Silverman, as well as some producers saying, what is the point of being on strike if you're letting these people work? So we'll see. Will it work? I don't see anybody coming back to the table, at least on the actor side of it. So I don't know if it's working or not.
Yeah, I feel like they're really trying to show the AMPTP that, we can still do this without you.
For
We
sure.
have a lot of indie productions that are in the works that will be sold to like a Roku channel or like a Crackle or different things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe the not so like popular streaming services like a Tubi. So
Without
yeah, it's
doubt.
very interesting. It's an interesting strategy. So yeah, we're gonna keep on top of that. But meanwhile, the writer strike hit day 100 this week. Remember, the last writer strike went 100 days. Now we're going past that this time. The point at which the last walkout of the Writers Guild ended in 2000 or the 2007 and 2008. It came just 5 days after the latest attempt to get both sides back to the negotiation table. That meeting between the WGA's West Chief Negotiator, Ellen Stutzman, and her General Counsel, Tony Segal, and AMTB boss, Carol Lombardini, and her team wasn't as productive as they hoped. But there may be hope. Just after 102 days, the WGA and the AMPTP resumed negotiations yesterday. Now, the return to the negotiation table was announced on Thursday and was apparently at the request of Carol Lombardini, which is on the producing side, who asked the WGA negotiating committee to meet with the AMPTP negotiators. We're hearing that the guild told members prior to the meeting that the AMPTP was set to deliver a response to the guild's proposals. The guild also told its members, quote, our committee returns to the bargaining table ready to make a fair deal, knowing the unaffiliated WGA membership stands behind us and buoyed by the ongoing support of the union allies. Going into the resumed talks, the AMPTP had refused to go along with the idea of a guaranteed staffing minimum on TV. Now the WGA has proposed a minimum ranging from 6 to 12 writers for most shows, depending on the number of episodes. The guild also wants writers to be given 10 weeks of guaranteed employment on pre-development rooms and 3 weeks per episode on post-greenlit shows, plus a provision ensuring that at least half the writing staff is employed through production. The WGA has noted that the AMPTP has also rejected its proposals for film writers, including weekly pay and a guaranteed second step, quote unquote, in screenwriter deals.
Hmm.
If no deal is reached, it is just 50 days away from being the longest strike in WGA history. So, we'll see how that goes. It's a lot of moving obstacles, but yeah, you can definitely tell the producers are ready to get this done because I feel like it's going to be a domino effect. Because once the writers are going to be good, I feel like SAG-AFTRA will come back to the table and hopefully get something done as well.
Yeah, that my hope is, and I don't know if I'm okay about this or not. I have mixed feelings about it because if the writers do come to an agreement and they don't get everything they were asking for, will SAG-AFTRA feel like they just have to do that and not end up getting everything? And are we going to be here 3 years from now in the same situation? You know what I'm saying? But something had to have changed because last Friday they had that meeting and both sides said neither one of us are budging, and they walked away with no negotiation. All of a sudden, 6 days later, they're like, hey, come back. I think maybe the studios are starting to crack. They're starting to feel it a little bit, like you said. And, I mean, maybe there's I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, they're about to feel it. The fall season is coming up quick, so
yeah, and it's already been delayed. Even if they both unions come to agreements somehow over this weekend or at the beginning of next week, it's still, we're going to see delays until they can't just write it and have it out tomorrow. So, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of a delay there. So
no, that's why I'm saying they don't want it to lead into the winter and the spring months. So
yeah,
that's why I said that.
It's going to be, I don't know. We'll see. We've seen this before where they said, oh, it looks optimistic. It looks like we may be talking, and then nothing. So we'll see. Speaking of the strikes, let's head all over to the Mouse House. And Disney CEO Bob Iger has once again addressed the ongoing writers and actors strikes, just as the WGA's work stoppage hit the 100-day mark. But this time around, he got smart, and he reversed course from his previous statements, saying this time around, quote, nothing is more important to this company than its relationships with the creative community. That includes actors, writers, animators, directors, and producers. I have deep respect and appreciation for how vital they are to the extraordinary creative engine that drives this company and our industry. It is my fervent hope that we can quickly find solutions to the issues that have kept us apart these past few months, and I am personally committed to working towards the result. Now, of course, this is the first time Iger has remarked on the strike since the actors officially joined the picket lines on July 14th. Whether this is damage control, whether this was a crisis manager saying you got to get out there and say something different, you know, we've talked about this in the past. Iger has always in the past been very smart about what he says and what he doesn't say. He's also been very friendly to creatives, working to make deals happen. Remember, he was behind the scenes when Chapek fucked up with Scarlett Johansson's deal to renegotiate that and get that done properly and take care of her. So I feel like this is the real Bob. I know that's not going to ease any of the hate that he gets paid $32 million a year. You know, okay, so he's wealthy and he gets paid a lot and it's unfair balance with the actors and everything. But I think genuinely he is a good man and he's trying to do the right thing. And I think this is the real Bob. You know, whether you like him or not because he gets paid so much, I do think that he is trying to do the right thing. I think dude was just having a bad fucking day when he said those other statements. I mean, his comeback to the company hasn't exactly been going smooth. And it's a lot more turbulent than he thought it was going to be. And I think he was just under some stress. He was just upset. And he said some shit. We all have bad days. We all have say shit that we don't mean when we're having bad days, right? I think that's what happened. Not to take away any of the anger that the actors and writers had towards him. It was legit, right? It was a stupid comment, a wrong thing to say. He should have been angry at it. But I think he misspoke out of some anger or stress or whatever, and I'm hoping that we do see him kind of get behind this and go, let's get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very interesting because it was... I mean, it's about 2 weeks since he made those comments, 2 or 3 weeks. And I don't know if it's because he wanted to hold off a little bit before making comments or before kind of backpedaling a little bit because he didn't want it to be like a he said, she said type of thing. So I would kind of understand that. But I mean, he is being made out to be the bad guy of this strike. So, I mean, that's very unfortunate because again, like you just said, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's one of the best CEOs um, in history. Let's be honest about it.
Right.
But I also feel like this second term of his, you're right, has not been going to plan. He had to extend his contract to be there longer than anticipated, which I'm sure he didn't want to do because he felt like he was comfortable to walk away the first time, but then saw how bad it was. So it's
Right.
going to be very interesting. But he did make those comments during the Mouse House's third quarter earnings call on Wednesday, where he
Yes.
did disclose the Walt Disney Company's posted revenues of $22.3 billion, a 4% growth from the previous year, but
Yeah.
it was shy of the forecast, though, I shall say. The company also saw direct to consumer losses shrink and adjusted earnings per share top estimates for the 3 months ended as of June, or ended in June, as CEO Bob Iger said the company's on track to exceed 5.5 billion in anticipated cost savings, so that's good. Linear television was softer though, a
Yeah.
trend Iger called out in a controversial CNBC News interview last month. A jump in park and experiences about a third of Disney sales was driven by
Yeah.
international parks and cruise lines. Domestic parks saw a profit fall with lower audiences at Disney World. There was a big 2.44 billion content impairment charge related to removing content from its DTC service and terminating third-party licensing agreements, plus another 210 million hit from severance. Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, a broad reconstructing Iger launched after returning to Disney's helm last fall, eliminated 7,000 jobs. The company swung to a net loss of 490 million for its fiscal year or fourth quarter from a 4.1 billion profit year the year before. Now that's a lot happening right there. We do see it. I also do think a lot of Disney World's problem is that ongoing DeSantis fight as
Oh, for
well.
sure.
So I think that's where you're seeing those losses.
Oh, without doubt. Now, the interesting thing there, though, is now I don't know how much was profit, right? Like how much out of that revenue, that 22.3 billion in revenue. Revenue doesn't necessarily mean profit. It just means that's how much was brought in, how much was profitable. But it makes it difficult in these negotiations when the studios are claiming they don't have any money and just in 3 months made $22.3 billion. And what the guilds are asking for adds up to about 26 million from each studio annually. If you make 22.4 billion in 3 months, I feel like you can afford 26 million a year. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
so it's hard to get out there and say. But the dip in television, though, of linear television, that definitely explains this next story because they are now trying to figure out how to make money off the television division and moving forward with the streamers. So they're trying to swing its streaming business into the black because, as you guys know, it is in the red. And it has set substantial price hikes for Disney Plus and Hulu standalone premium plans in the US, while also rolling out a heavily discounted Disney Plus / Hulu ad-free combo bundle. Now, as of October 12th, Disney Plus Premium with no ads will jump 27%, rising from $10.99 a month to $13.99 a month for US customers. Hulu without ads will increase 20% from $14.99 to $17.99 a month. The price for Disney Plus and Hulu standalone ad-supported tiers will remain the same at $7.99 a month each, and with the bundle still $9.99 a month. Now, in addition, the monthly price of the two Hulu Plus live TV packages will go up by $7 as of October 12th. The plan with ads increases to $76.99. The tier with no ads ads on video on demand rises to $89.99. Now, ESPN Plus pricing will increase by $1 from $9.99 to $10.99 a month. Now, since launching the ad-supported version of Disney Plus in the U.S. in December of 2022, the company has actually signed up 3.3 million customers to the plan. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? I feel like most people are okay with the ads because they're usually quick, a minute 30, you're run and done, kind of a thing. But wasn't the whole point of streaming cut the cable, get rid of the basic TV? Now you're selling ads and you're showing commercials. We're right back to network television. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm fine, like I said, if it's a minute, 45 seconds, minute 30. But if they start generating so much ad revenue where they're selling commercial space, and we start getting like regular TV where you've got 2.5, 3 minutes of commercials, that's gonna suck. I mean,
it is. Well, and I mean, especially with these, I feel like it's kind of turned into something just to eliminate the cable companies, especially for those studios who aren't owned by cable companies, So I definitely think that's kind of where we're at right now. If you're like a NBC who's owned by Comcast, like that's going to be hurting. Or if you're Disney and own ABC, that kind of hurts, but you're still kind of live streaming it on, Hulu. So I don't know, man. We're kind of just back to day one. That's really what it feels like. Everybody is just going through the internet instead of having a box.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because what can only be described as another way to try to increase streaming revenue, Disney is coming for the sharing passwords. That's right. Taking a page out of Netflix's book, Disney chief Bob Iger announced that the media conglomerate has put a priority on finding ways to convert password borrowing users into paying customers. Currently, in the subscriber agreements for Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu, the only mention of password sharing is that customers may not share your login credentials with third parties. Right now, they don't specifically address whether it's okay to let friends or family members who don't live in the same household use the accounts. Now, Iger declined to get into specifics about whether or not widespread password sharing is an issue for Disney Plus, but it's definitely something that I feel like is going to be addressed here soon because let's be honest about it. Netflix is the king of all streamers. Once they do something, everybody else falls in line. So I think everybody else is going to fall in line on this one.
Yeah, especially since, remember, the big fear was everybody was saying, oh my gosh, if you cut the password sharing and you force people to get their own accounts, you're going to lose subscribers. Well, Netflix said that's not true. We're confident we'll see new subscribers, and that's exactly what happened. So if Netflix proved that you can force people to have to get their own account instead of sharing, and they were able to increase subscribers, then I agree with you. I think it only makes sense that the rest of these streamers will follow suit because they're going to see that they also can get new subscribers and not lose subscribers. So that's going to be very interesting. One more thing before we walk away from the earnings call and everything, I wanted to address. It was again brought up about Apple and is the plan to sell. Iger has always dispelled it in the past. He's always said it's ridiculous, it's a rumor, Disney is Disney, blah, 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 blah. This earnings call, he did not. He did not dispel it. In fact, his wording was very interesting. He said, listen, I don't want to get into the realm of giant corporations buying studios or other big companies buying studios. All I can say is that when things like that happen, there's a process. And the first thing that you would think about in those instances is the FTC and getting past the regulations.
Yep.
That means, I'm pretty sure he just said, even if it's going to be a while before you see it happen because we have to get past the regulations. And he mentioned the possible offset of linear television. I think they're thinking down the line, if we sell off ABC, if we sell off Family Channel, if we sell off Disney Cable, the Disney Channel, they can get under and appease the FTC to make that merger happen. This is the first time that he did not completely dispel it as a rumor. That makes me very interested. Is that why he came back? Is that why he extended the contract? Are they working to make this merger happen down the line? And you and I have talked about this. I'm not a big fan of these big corporations buying the studios because, like in Zaslav's case, where he's just cherry picking and tearing Warner Brothers apart, right? I'm not a fan of that. But Apple and Disney have a long-standing relationship. They've served on each other's boards. I mean, you're going way back to when Jobs was still alive. They respect each other. And Apple respects what Disney's value is and their iconic level of 100 years of content and what Disney is. I don't have any fear that Apple would tear apart Disney or start to break it up and dismantle the studio. I think just the opposite. They'd funnel money into it to get it back to its glory. So I'm not necessarily opposed to this merger if it happens. My only thing would be is Apple's very iconic. Disney's what name do you go with? I feel like you have to go with the 100-year plus, right? But do you call it Disney Apple, Apple Disney? Like, what the fuck would you call it? That's my only thing. But anyway, we're going to be keeping an eye on that because it is a very interesting possibility. They have a lot of money, and Disney's got a lot of content. Just saying.
Well, this next one is visual effects crews at Marvel Studios filed this week for a ununionized election with National Labor Relations Board. Now, the labor organization said Marvel's more than 50 worker crew had signed authorization cards indicating they wish to be represented by the union. These are VFX pros employed directly by Marvel and generally work in Atlanta, Los Angeles, and New York. It does not include the thousands of VFX artists who work on Marvel movies through third-party studios. Now, Marvel has not yet voluntarily recognized the union effort. So this is going to be very interesting and another developing thing. But I will say over the past year, a lot of flack has been thrown at Marvel because of the visual effects, because of these third-party studios basically underbidding each other to try to work on these projects. And they say that Marvel tries to be very bare minimum with this stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see how this continues moving forward. And yeah, so I don't even know what to think about that right now. There needs to be more information that comes out before I even develop a thought.
I agree with you though, because like, remember Victoria Alonso, right? That's her name. She left Marvel and then she came out and said, hey, look, we were under unbelievable pressure by Chapek on these timelines where we had to like just push out all this content at speeds to where we just couldn't make the visual effects the way they needed to be because we were under deadlines and they were being abused. So it only makes sense that they kind of want to unionize to allow that kind of shit not to happen to them. The interesting thing is, because you said like Iger or Disney hasn't responded to it yet, or Marvel hasn't responded to it yet, is Iger has stated that he wants to slow things down and make it go back to the strategy that was working all those years, quality over quantity, reduce the amount of films being released, reduce the amount of streaming shows being released for Marvel, right? And make it about quality. So do you need to unionize, or would you not have to be under so much pressure to do these things under the gun and to have to do it quickly? And I think that would be the argument that Iger and Marvel would make, is like, hey, it's not like that anymore. You don't need to worry about it. We're not going to treat you that way. So, like you said, we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. This next one I'm kind of excited about, even if we will eventually have to pay a little bit more money for it. Disney's live-action reimagining of The Little Mermaid hits Disney Plus on September 6th after a very hearty 103 days in the theaters. Now, the film debuted on the 4-day Memorial Day weekend to $118.8 $108 million domestically. Worldwide, it added another $164 million start. It has currently grossed north of $564 million worldwide. However, it wasn't the billion-dollar success of other Disney live-action takes of their animated picks, for example, Aladdin and Beauty of the Beast. Now, Little Mermaid did face headwinds at offshore markets due to the casting of Halle Bailey in the lead role. Fucking ridiculous. That is, like, the fact that it even got any type of pushback because they cast her, I still fucking ridiculous. The Little Mermaid did fare better stateside than overseas, grossing $297 million to only $267 million overseas. Now, the early September frame is not one to be ignored by Disney Plus, though. It began eventizing during COVID with the streaming releases of live actions, including the first one that they did that with Mulan. So they're used to rolling them out around this time and making it a big event. And I think when people see it on Disney Plus, it's going to do really well. The people that did go see it in the theater really enjoyed it. They got past the whole Halle Bailey and and the couple of changes from the animated that they made or whatever. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good time, and I think that when people see it on Disney Plus, it's going to do well for them.
Yeah, I'm excited because I haven't seen it yet, so I'm pretty pumped to see it. But guys, the Emmys have officially put out a new date. Fox and the Television Academy announced this week that the 75th Emmy Awards will shift to Monday, January 15th of 2024 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. That puts the ceremony on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and it also means it will air nearly 4 months after the telecast was originally planned. September 18th was the original date. Now, the new date puts the Emmys right in the middle of the winter award season, and it may lead to more conflicts. As part of this announcement, the TV Academy also announced that the Creative Arts Emmy Awards would move to Saturday, January 6th and Sunday, January 7th. They were originally slated for September 9th and September 10th, but the Golden Globe Awards had already announced it would take the place of January 7th. As of now, however, there is no word on a broadcast partner for the Globe's telecast. Should the Globes move forward as planned, there is a tricky question of conflicting shows. This year's nominations were announced on July 12th, less than 48 hours before the SAG-AFTRA strike begun, effectively halting all production and promotion in the entertainment industry.
For sure.
But let's be honest about it. People would watch the Emmys over the Golden Globes. Just saying.
Yeah. But this is no surprising story, though. I mean, when you knew everything came to a grinding halt, they were going to have to push back award shows because these people are not allowed to show up and promote anything. So, I mean, this only makes sense. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, though, to see how many more. Are we going to have to push back the Oscars? Are we going to have to push back, it's going to, even if they were, like we were talking about earlier in the show, even if they resolve these strikes and they start moving and going in, everything has already been pushed back. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of that.
Agreed.
I don't know. You know what you do, though, during strikes and you need content? Reality TV. And you know who's great at reality TV? Fox. And you know who they love? Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay's Master Chef has been renewed for a 14th season at Fox. On the currently airing 13th season of the cooking competition, host Ramsay is judging alongside Aaron Sanchez and renowned restaurateur Joe Bastianacci, now who will both apparently return to their posts for season 14. MasterChef season 13 is currently averaging 3.1 million total viewers according to Nielsen's Live plus 7-day data, and is up year over year in multi-platform viewers with an average of 4.6 million total viewers. That's the largest multi-platform audience of any Fox series this summer to date. So it's doing pretty well still. I mean, I know that seems like a paltry number, 3.1, but these days in regular broadcast television, that's huge numbers. So
it's true, man. It's true. Well, heading over to Warner Brothers Discovery, Greta Gerwig's pink-coated fantasy comedy, the one and only Barbie, has surpassed $1 billion at the global box office, including 459 million in North America and 572 million internationally.
Wow.
This makes Gerwig's first ever solo female filmmaker with a $1 billion film. Congratulations to her.
Yeah.
Now, Barbie hit the coveted milestone after just 17 days of release, becoming the fastest Warner Brothers release in the eighth in the studio's 100-year history to join the $1 billion club. It's only the second blockbuster this year and the sixth of the pandemic era to cross $1 billion, following Spider-Man No Way Home, Top Gun Maverick, Jurassic World Dominion, and Avatar The Way of Water. Barbie has remained number one at the box office for 3 consecutive weekends. And that's despite competition from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, Meg 2, The Trench, and Oppenheimer. It's already the second highest grossing movie of 2023, behind only Universal's and Illumination's Super Mario Brothers movie, which earned 574 million domestically and 1.35 billion worldwide. So they're rocking and rolling, man. Warner Brothers and Zaslav are very happy right now.
Oh, for sure. And congratulations, Margot Robbie, right? Because she walked into Warner Brothers and pitched it with Greta. And Margot Robbie, quote, said, if you allow us to make this movie the way we want to make it, it will make $1 billion. She called it. That's how you make a pitch. It will make this much money, and then you go make that much money. Next time she walks in, everybody's going to say yes. That's right. How that works, right? So August, right? It's kicking ass so far. We've got Barbenheimer and like all the big battles and doing pretty good at the box office. Unlike last August, which was totally lacking any product after Sony's Bullet Train, the month looks to keep chugging along this year, even as the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes continue and many talents are still not permitted to promote. Now, one example of that we're seeing, recently Warner Brothers and DC's Blue Beetle hit tracking with an eye on a $30 million start when it opens on August 18th. Now, with Blue Beetle, Warner Brothers is delivering what is arguably the first feature film superhero for Latino and Hispanic audiences. The pick was originally conceived for the streamer Max, developed under the DC Walter Hamada run regime, but transitioned quite early to the theatrical release schedule. Now, true, the projection right now is lower than the $55 million start of The Flash, which didn't see a huge turnout by its cast to promote it, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods, $30.1 million. But movies aimed at Hispanic and Latino moviegoers usually overperform in their first weekends due to walk-up business. So we're going to keep an eye on it, you know? And remember, this is the first official DCU film. This is like the rebrand, the reboot, the start over. So here we go. We're going to see how it does.
Yeah, I'm hoping it gets closer to 50, 55, 60. I mean, because it looks good.
Yeah.
Like, it actually looks fun.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like if they can bring that, if they can promote that more, I feel like they're dropping teaser trailers and first looks like every other week. So that's really smart.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what it does, and I'm hopeful for the DCU, so it's very exciting.
Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty returned to HBO this week with 629,000 total viewers tuning in for the Season 2 premiere across Max and linear telecasts. But that's a bit of a fall from grace considering the 901,000 people who tuned in for Season 1 debut in March of 2022. By May of that year, Season 1 managed to amass 1.6 million same-day viewers for the finale. Now, the show's sophomore run focuses on the period just after the 1980 NBA Finals and runs through 1984, culminating in the first professional rematch of the era's greatest stars, Magic, and the Boston Celtics' Larry Bird. So there you go. And can I just say, if you listen to that really carefully, when the first one kicked off and premiered, it was March. Clearly benefited from March Madness and basketball excitement and everybody pumped up. So, it's hard to debut the next one without that. So it makes sense. It's not a horrible drop-off. The show is fantastic. If you guys haven't checked it out, you should totally check it out. And the performances of the actors that play Magic and Bird, freaking crazy good.
Yeah, I mean this show has to deal a little bit with my top 5 later down the line, so stay tuned for that. But have you watched episode 1 yet?
I have not. That's on my weekend agenda to start it. So yeah, I'm excited.
I am too, man. I am too. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Okay.
I definitely feel like that this is my bone to pick with the streamers though. I don't feel like they're necessarily the best at letting you know when the second season or another season comes back out, because we didn't know. We saw some clips, we saw like, some pictures, some stuff like that, but we never really heard about a release date. That's kind of how I feel about Only Murders in the Building right now too.
Yeah.
They just dropped and I had no idea. So it's like, I wish they would do a better job at that, and I feel like that's how you'll see more numbers, but to each his own.
Totally agree with you. I mean, let's face it. If it wasn't for our buddy Spencer Garrett promoting the hell out of it, we might still not know it was coming on. I mean, Thank goodness he was putting it everywhere, because I feel like that's how we found out about it. You're totally right. They don't promote it very good at all.
No, not at all. Well, HBO has ordered Sam Mendes and Armando Iannucci's superhero movie-making comedy, The Franchise, 2 series. Now, Hamish Patel and ITCAFpodcast star alongside previously announced cast. Oh my goodness. Jessica Haynes, Billy Magnuson, Lali Adupe, Darren Goldstein, Isaac Powell, Richard E. Grant, and Daniel Brühl. Now, John Brown from Succession and Avenue 5 wrote the pilot and serves as showrunner, while Mendes, of course, from Skyfall and 1917, directs this bad boy. Now, in Franchise, the crew of an unloved franchise movie fight for their place in a savage and unruly cinematic universe. Per the logline, the series shines a light on the secret chaos inside the world of superhero movie making. To ask a question, how exactly does the cinematic sausage get made? Because every fuck up has an origin story. Work on the pilot was completed before the actor strike began on July 14th, and production will not begin until SAG-AFTRA and the WGA strikes resolve. But that definitely sounds very interesting. I love the more comedic take, especially when you don't come out with as dark of stuff. Right. So it's going to be interesting because, I mean, we see how popular the dark comedy that is The Boys, and is very much in the same vein. So I'm very curious to see how this will move forward.
Me too. And I'm also very curious because from what I understand, the pitch for this thing was that it's going to highly make fun of the MCU and Marvel. And making superhero franchises. And then you have Daniel Brühl, who of course is part of the MCU, played Baron Zemo, and now he's going to be in this. So poking fun at his bread and butter, if you will. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And what does Marvel think of that? I'm just saying, Let's jump over to Paramount, where Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish isn't ruling out the possibility of the company teaming with other players in the media space to create a more viable streaming bundle. Now, the company's quarterly report showed narrower streaming losses, but only a modest gain in Paramount Plus subscribers to 61 million. Now, the flagship streaming service integrated Showtime just before the June 30th end of the quarter, with higher prices accompanying the revamp. Revenue at Paramount Plus, a majority chunk of the overall 1.7 billion in the direct-to-consumer division, increased 47% over the year earlier. So, again, that's one of those, hey, we didn't see too many new subscribers, but we made a boatload of money. We can't pay you. I like this idea, though, of the more bundling. Like, I already use Apple, and it's got my Paramount and Apple and Showtime, and, like, I can access all of them through that. I think this is a smart move. I think that eventually all these streamers, the right move would be to team up, have one location where you can just access all of your streamers in that one location and then pull together as one bundled price. Like if you get this for this price, you have access to all the streamers. I think eventually that's going to have to be the way it goes.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. I mean, look at Sling TV. Their different
Yeah,
tiers comes with different type of things. So it's going to be very interesting.
for sure.
Now, with everything going on in Hollywood right now, dealing with the strikes, it is unclear when CBS's FBI Most Wanted will return for its fifth season. But when it does, it will be without a doubt without one of its series regulars,
Oh,
Alexa Davalos. The news likely will come as a surprise to fans because there was no hint in season four's finale that her character, Special Agent Kristen Gaines, might be departing the series. Now, the exit may have come as a surprise to many on the show, too, including possibly Davalos. I hear she was informed by a producer on set that she won't be coming back after filming her last scene from season four several months ago. Now,
what?
according to multiple sources, the conversation and Davalos' departure were admissible. It is unclear how Gaines will exit, will be explained in the upcoming fifth season, which has not even been written yet, of course, because of the WGA strike, and, or whether or not Davalos would be invited back to wrap up her character's arc. But from what it sounds like, it wasn't a very happy-go-lucky set, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
doubt that she will come back.
But can you even imagine, like, what the fuck? You're like, cut! Great job! That was beautiful. By the way, that was it. You're not coming back. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? It's got to be done better than that. I mean, Jesus
Agreed.
Christ, man. That's kind of fucked up. You know what else is fucked up? 1 week after Big Brother Season 25 premiered, a controversy has hit the house. Apparently on Tuesday night, house guest Luke Valentine casually dropped the N-word in a conversation captured on the Paramount Plus live feed, and now has been removed. In a statement, CBS said, quote, Luke violated the Big Brother code of conduct, and there is zero tolerance in the house for using a racial slur. He has been removed from the house. Apparently, during a conversation with fellow contestants Jared Fields, Corey Wurtenberger, and Hissam Gwali, Valentine was heard casually saying the slur at the end of a statement. He then caught himself, covered his mouth, and laughed. He tried to correct his comment with the word dude. Now, if you guys are familiar, if you're fans of the show, you know this is not the first time Big Brother has faced a racial controversy. In season 22, Memphis Garrett was accused of calling David Alexander the N-word. After an online petition demanded that he be removed from the house, CBS did launch an investigation, and after reviewing footage, they confirmed that he had not said the slur. Although the show's producers won't get into confidential casting details, they say they do extensive research and look into each player's background and keep an eye out for red flags. Apparently not very well. Just like,
what a dumbass.
Right? Like, is this still where we're at in this country? Still? It's just fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, it is wild. Well, I am Deputy U.S. Marshal Bass Revis, and your wicked days are done.
Oh.
So warns David Oyelowo as the title character from the first teaser trailer of Taylor Sheridan's Lawman Bass Revis. Paramount Plus also released some of the first images of the anthology series created for television by executive producer and showrunner Chad Feehan. Per the official logline, Lawman Bass Reeves will bring the legendary lawman of outlaws of the Wild West to life. Now, Reeves, who is Aiello, known for as the greatest frontier hero in an American story, worked in the post-Reconstruction era as the federal peace officer in the Indian Territory, capturing over 3,000 of the most dangerous criminals without ever being wounded.
Damn.
Future iterations will follow other iconic lawmen and outlaws who have impacted history. Now, Lauren E. Banks, Demi Singleton, Forrest Goodluck, Barry Pepper, Donald Sutherland, and Dennis Quaid also star in this bad boy. The 8-episode season is produced by MTV Entertainment Studios, 101 Studios, Sheridan's Bozrah Ranch Productions, and Oyelowo's Obria Saxons exclusively for Paramount Plus.
I'm excited for this one. I think it's going to be a badass season. And for anybody who doesn't know, even though this man was an African American and like a true guy, he was apparently the inspiration for the Lone Ranger. So yeah, that like right, like okay, did not know that, but yeah, I did some research and found that out, and that's interesting. Let's jump over to NBC Universal, and I'm loving this one. Due to popular demand, Universal Pictures Oppenheimer has extended its 70 millimeter run at IMAX theaters nationwide through the end of August. Now, the previous end date, which was already an extension of the film's original run in IMAX 70 millimeter format, was supposed to be August 17th. Now, tickets for Christopher Nolan's atomic bomb drama are already on sale through August 31st at some IMAX theaters, as exhibitors will make them available on a rolling basis. Now, only 19 theaters in the US and only 30 total worldwide even have the capability to play the films in IMAX 70 millimeter, including the AMC Universal City Walk in Los Angeles and the AMC Lincoln Square in New York, making those screens some of the hottest tickets in town. Now, on Thursday, the historical biopic starring, of course, Cillian Murphy as the father of the atomic bomb, J. Robert Oppenheimer, hit the $600 million mark at the global box office and is now among the 10 highest grossing R-rated movies of all time, both domestically and worldwide. Now, that's a triumphant feat for an R-rated movie that runs over 3 hours long. IMAX has accounted for a remarkable 22% of the film's worldwide total. Now, Oppenheimer will control the IMAX footprint at all the theaters until Denzel Washington's The Equalizer 3 takes its spot on September 1st. He's like, 9 seconds until I take your spot. He's counting that clock. I'm going to kick your ass out. I'm excited though. And congratulations, because 3 hours long and like it's a full dialogue-driven drama, and this thing is just kicking it at the box office. I'm thrilled for him, man.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Well, audience seems to be racing through Peacock's latest series, Twisted Metal. In the last 2 weeks since the video game adaptation launched, it has become the streamer's most binge comedy to premiere. According to NBC Universal, the average account watched about 3 episodes per sitting, with some opting to knock out all 10 in one single viewing. The company didn't report exactly how many people watched Twisted Metal, but it is apparently joining the ranks of Bel Air, The Best Man Final Chapters, Poker Face, and Based on a True Story as Peacock's top 5 original series to launch. And just not specifically for this streaming platform, but it seems like a lot of audiences are using these binging sessions to watch these series more as films and less as TV shows.
Yeah.
I've been noticing a lot that people, I mean, if it's like 6 episodes, I'm surprised they're doing it with 10 episodes.
Right.
But if it's like 6 episodes, they'll just knock it all out in one day. And I mean, that's crazy, because I mean, I know your crazy ass does that all the time, but I mean, for normal people, I think that's kind of wild.
Yeah, I just watched like 6 full years of Billions in like a month because I was just knocking them out. But I'm so excited for Friday; it's coming back. Speaking of, but anyway, it makes me wonder though, like, because you see some of the streamers are still releasing it as once a week. Yeah. Even though these numbers are showing that people will sit down and watch numerous episodes at one time. So I'm wondering if we'll see a shift to see them release all the season at one time. Yeah, right. You know, it's going to be interesting. Speaking of something interesting, I don't know how you feel about this. We'll have to talk about it. Are you a fan of this or not? Peacock has released the official trailer for The Continental, the latest addition to the John Wick franchise, but it's not a movie. The Mel Gibson-led miniseries is a prequel to the films starring Keanu Reeves and centers around Winston Scott, who came to acquire the Continental, the notorious chain of hotels that Scott established as a neutral haven for housing assassins. Now, the Continental is an enthralling ode to New York in the 1970s, featuring Donna Summer songs, Studio 54-esque club scenes, and lots of guns against the backdrop of the city's dark and dirty streets. The project first gained buzz back in 2017 and was originally planned to air on Starz. Gibson plays ruthless kingpin Cormac alongside Woodill's Winston Scott. The 3-part miniseries also stars Ayomide Agadan, Peter Green, Ben Robson, Hubert DuPont, Zhauer, Jessica Alain, Michelle Prada, and Wong Kate. Audiences can check into the Continental beginning September 22nd on Peacock, and then Part 2 premieres September 29th, and Part 3 will drop on October 6th. How do you feel about this? A miniseries as a prequel to the movies?
I mean, I think it's a cool idea, that's for sure. But with it only being like a 3 episode miniseries, I'm wondering why they just didn't make it a full length film for the streamer. So that's kind of interesting. And I mean, I'm very hit or miss with Mel Gibson, so that's another thing. But I think I'm going to give this one a try because it does sound interesting. And I mean, I always love period pieces,
For
so
sure.
it's definitely going to be cool to watch.
There you go.
Well, heading over to Sony Pictures Entertainment posted 115 million in operating income for the last 3 months, ending in June of the end of the month. Now they were down 71% on a dollar basis from last
Yikes.
year's comparable first quarter, despite a stronger theatrical release slate. Now, films released across this period this year were led by Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which grossed $591 million worldwide as of the end of June. It currently cost $684 million to make. Or that's what it currently is at. Other titles include The Pope's Exorcist at 75 million global, No Hard Feelings at 40 millions globally. Now, regarding adjusted OIBDA, operating income before deprecation and amortization, Sony said the pictures division came in 57% lower than the same period in 2022. The drops were attributed to a decrease in sales and higher marketing costs in support of greater number of theatrical releases. Sales in the division were 2.33 billion. Now that's down from 2.64 billion just a year ago. The results were impacted by a decrease in deliveries of US television series, as well as lower home entertainment and digital streaming service licensing revenues compared to the first quarter of 2022, which benefited from the contribution of several franchise films released theatrically in a fiscal year of 2021. That was a fucking mouthful.
Yeah.
On the plus side, this year's first quarter saw higher theatrical revenues. So that's very interesting. But like we said, if it's not Spider-Man, Sony is kind of
Yeah.
so it
That
is
whole
what it is.
story just kind of doesn't make sense. Well, first of all, let me just say this is one studio that might be telling the truth that they can't afford to pay the writers. That
Right.
70 something percent drop. Holy shit. But my thing is like we literally just talked about how basically last year, really the only hit movie they had that did anything was Bullet Train. And yet they made more money last year and they had all these hit movies this year. What the fuck?
Right.
Like whose bad accounting is that going on? I
Yeah.
mean, that
Very,
seems
very confused by that one.
yeah, that seems a little weird. How do you have Spider-Man and No Hard Feelings and like all these movies and not make money? What? All right. All right, let's go over to Lionsgate, another one who seems to not be making any money. Losses narrowed and revenues climbed just a little bit as film hits such as John Wick Chapter 4 helped power Lionsgate's quarterly earnings. It's a time of change for the company, which is exploring separating its motion picture and television groups from its Starz streaming and pay TV business and relaunching them as two publicly traded entities. Now, in the near term, Lionsgate reported revenues of $909 million, a 2% increase from the $893.9 million it logged the prior year quarter. Operating losses shrank from $68.2 million in the previous year to $16.8 million in the most recent quarter. Now, adjusted net loss attributable to Lionsgate shareholders in the quarter was $9.8 million or 4 cents a share, which really isn't that bad. That beat Wall Street's expectations. Analysts were predicting revenues of $885 million and an adjusted loss of 23 cents per share. Now, the report comes days after news broke that Lionsgate had acquired Entertainment One's TV and film operations from Hasbro for approximately $500 million. Now, the transaction is expected to close by the end of the year. The company's library with that purchase now includes hits such as The Woman King and the franchises Yellow Jackets and Naked and Afraid. So, what it didn't include in Hasbro's little thing was all the Transformers, G.I. Joe, and all. They kind of got fucked on that deal, but hey.
Yes, very interesting. Very interesting. Heading over to Amazon/MGM, Red, White, and Royal Blue, the wholly anticipated queer rom-com based off Casey McQuiston's best-selling romance novel, is finally here. The film arrived on Prime Video yesterday, like a book off of which the film centers on Alex Claremont Diaz, the Mexican-American son of the U.S. president, and his royal counterpart, Prince Henry. The plot kicks off when the two feuding political progeny and longtime rivals get into an altercation, and the tabloids get a hold of the photo of the incident, prompting their handlers to devise a plan to damage control, staging a truce. Their fake friendship, though, soon evolves and then hurtles into a secret romance that threatens to complicate Alex's mother's re-election campaign. Now, the film's trailer, which dropped in July, unveiled the first look at Taylor Zakar Perez portraying of Alex. Now, Nicholas Galestine as Prince Henry of Britain, and Uma Thurman as the U.S. president with a thick Southern accent. The adaptation also stars Stephen Fry, Sarah Shy, Ellie Bamber, Clifton Collins Jr., Rachel Hilson, and Thomas Flynn. So pretty good casting attached to that one.
Heck yeah. The second you said that it affected her re-election campaign, I was like, she's got to be a Republican from the Bible Belt because the gay romance is going to fuck her up. So yeah, and then when you said Southern accent, ding, 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 that's going to be interesting. Uma Thurman's going to be hilarious in that role, I bet. Right. Okay, our boy Alden Ehrenreich, which... phenomenal performance in Oppenheimer. If you haven't seen him, watch. It's just crazy good. And Phoebe DeVinvor have a tough time navigating a clandestine romance while competing for a coveted job promotion in the first trailer for the Netflix thriller Fair Play. Now, from writer and director Chloe Domont, the movie was a hit at this year's Sundance Film Festival, and it focuses on Luke and Emily, co-workers at a high-powered hedge fund firm who have recently gotten engaged. Now, while they continue to keep their relationship a secret, dynamics between the pair get tense as both aim to achieve professional gains despite the costs. Now, a source previously reported that Fair Play's Sundance unveiling kicked off a massive bidding war, with Netflix actually landing the title for a sum of $20 million or somewhere in that range. Fair Play will hit select theaters on September 29th before its October launch on the 13th on Netflix. So, sounds like an interesting film, though, because, you know, what do you do?
Yeah.
Two people competing for the same job and you're about to get married. One can't keep it. Who gets it?
Yeah, very interesting. Well, Netflix has slated Thursday, October 12th for the premiere of The Fall of the House of Usher. Now, it's an 8-episode limited series by Mike Flanagan based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. Now, the streamer also released some of the first images of the series. Now, this is starring Bruce Greenwood. The series is described as an epic tale of greed, horror, and tragedy. Poe's short story, The Fall of the House of Usher, which serves as the basis of the show, features themes of madness, family, isolation, and identity. The story follows ruthless siblings Roderick and Madeline Usher, who have built a Fortunato paramolastic. What the fuck?
Pharmaceuticals?
Pharmaceuticals. It's been a long day.
No, you're good. You're good. What you sipping?
Yeah, exactly. Into an empire of wealth, privilege, and power. The past secrets come to light when the heirs to the Usher's dynasty start dying at the hands of a mysterious woman from their youth. So that sounds very interesting, and you guys know I'm like all down for anything Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh,
so
for sure.
I'm excited.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, a tale of greed, horror, tragedy, madness, and isolation. Sounds like Edgar Allan Poe to me.
Right.
I think it's going to be a good one. And then we have this one. We're going to jump and finish Netflix with this fun one because, as you know, this guy's their golden boy at the moment, Adam Sandler. And apparently it's not enough to just have Adam. Netflix wants his
No.
whole family. Adam
Yeah.
Sandler and the rest of his family, yes, his biological family, are front and center in the first official trailer for Netflix's You Are So Not Invited to My Bar Mitzvah. Streaming on August 25th on the platform, the film is an adaptation of Fiona Rosenblum's coming-of-age novel of the same name. Now, Stacey Friedman and Lydia Katz have been best friends for quite some time, modernly navigating the stressors of middle school life. Stacey is busy planning her bar mitzvah and ogling over her crush, Andy Goldfarb. However, Lydia ends up stealing Stacey's crush from her, forcing the two best friends to have a fallout. Now, Sandler's daughter, Sunny, stars in the lead role as Stacey, while his eldest daughter, Sadie, also appears in the film. Sandler's Uncut Gems co-star, Idina Menzel, plays his wife in the film. So, that's interesting. I like how he's kind of keeping it all in the family, if you will.
It is interesting. And I mean, one of my favorite films that he's ever done, it's animated, but Eight Crazy Nights, when he goes into the whole Jewish side of his
Yeah.
upbringing and like different things like that. So it'll be interesting. I feel like he is making a turn towards a more dramatic turn. So I'm very excited about that, obviously with Uncut Gems, but then with Hustle, I believe it was on Netflix. So I love his dramatic performances. So I'm excited to see how this one's going to be as well.
Yeah, and his chemistry with India was really good in Uncut Gems. So it's cool that they're going to keep that going as a husband and wife again in this one. So
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Well, Apple heading over there. Lakeith Stanfield is a husband and a father trapped in New York City's fairy tale turned nightmare
Oh.
in the first trailer of Apple TV Plus's The Channeling. Written and showrun by Kelly Marcel, the 8-part series is based on Victor Lovel's best-selling book of the same name and sees Stanfield starring in a drama described as a horror story, a parenthood fable of Polaris Odyssey. Now, in the more than 2-minute trailer, Stanfield appears as Apollo, a man desperate to keep his family together after he cuts an enchanted ring from his wife's wrist. And she suddenly goes missing. Tracing his love story with Clark Baco's Emma, the series' first look begins their meet cute after she agrees to be with him following a trip to Brazil. There, Emma encounters a lagoon she's sworn by locals to stay away from, along with a blue-eyed woman who granted her 3 wishes before tying her wrist with a red string. Despite the promise of those 3 wishes coming true once the string falls off, Emma warns Apollo not to remove it. Convinced that the string is just superstition, Apollo eventually cuts the string, hurtling him, his wife, and his baby into the dark, deadly other world of New York. Now, would you even know if you crossed into a fairy tale? A voice can be heard asking in the trailer. There are portals in this world that we may never know until we trespass through. You don't see, but you will. Another promises. The Channeling also stars Adina Portal, Samuel T. Herring, Alexis Louder, Jared Abrahamson, and guest star of Malcolm Barrett. Now, the first 3 episodes of the series will debut on Apple TV Plus on September 8th, with the remaining episodes releasing weekly through October 13th.
Well, there you go. Apple's doing a lot of that dark, twisted shit, man. I like it, though. I like it.
Yeah, I do too, man. I do too. It's going to be very interesting. Before we jump into the top 5 segment, guys, be sure after the episode to check out our latest episode of Everything's Okay podcast. Of course, if you guys follow us on social media, we have been promoting and talking about the White Flag app. And we are fortunate enough to have Dave Frank, the Chief Content Officer from White Flag, come on the show and talk about the topic of struggle. This was a very enlightening conversation. Not only do we get deep with a lot of our stuff, but we, of course, talk about the different struggles that he's encountered throughout his life.
For sure.
And it was a very enlightening conversation, and we just love when men can sit down and have these deep conversations. So I loved it. I mean, I know you did too.
Yeah, man. And you know, and we're not talking about just things that you associate like, oh my gosh, this massive thing. We're talking about just everyday struggles that, if ignored, turn into these problems for mental health, right? It's a
Yeah.
really good conversation. So I hope you guys do indeed go check it out. EOP
Yes,
podcast.
exactly. Freaking, it's episode 12. We've done
Yeah,
12 episodes so
that's
far. It's been
amazing.
amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And of course, be sure to check out our Marvel rankings episode from last week as well. That was a whole lot of fun. Don't judge, don't be too mean, but it's fine. It's fine. We may or may not have had to cut some things out because we know how you Marvel fans are and we don't want you coming after us.
And you know what else?
So
Check out How Well Do We Know Each Other? You
yeah,
think we
that
know
one
each other
too.
pretty well, but surprisingly, we had some hits and misses there. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I am indeed, though, for anybody who has watched it, the Monopoly King. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And Mike, bring
That's
it
what he
on,
says.
buddy. I saw your comment. Bring it on. I will whoop you, and I will put the picture up. Okay? Just saying. Just saying.
Oh my goodness. That is absolutely hilarious. So, well, heading over to the top five segment. This one this week was very interesting because there's a lot of minor characters in films or TV shows that are kind of steal the show every
Yeah.
time they step on screen, you know? So this one this week is minor characters we want to see in their own film or TV series as the main character. So yeah, man, I mean it's very interesting and they span so many different eras for us, right? I
They
mean,
do.
going back and thinking about all these different shows because not only are we keeping up with all these new hit shows that are coming out across all platforms, across linear television, but we also go back and watch shows that were popular back in the day that we may have not have watched back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's been a
Yeah.
whole lot of fun getting to experience all of those different things. So I'm super excited.
And it's funny
Um,
because both of us, you know, we said we just made that crack about how well do we know each other. Maybe we have some hit and misses with knowing each other, but we sure act alike because we both
mhm.
heavily leaned towards TV, and
Yeah.
we both also picked people that may not actually be minor characters, supporting characters, but to call them minor might be stretching it a little bit. But this was a
Yeah.
hard one because I couldn't really think of any minor characters that weren't supporting characters. So it's like, you know.
Well, that's the thing because like I feel like a lot of shows nowadays are very ensemble cast.
Right, exactly.
So it's kind of difficult. It's kind
Yeah.
of difficult. But
I
I
think
guess
it's
we can throw
good
out
list though.
they are good lists. I guess we can throw out honorable mentions, two honorable mentions. The Donnas, right?
Oh,
Donna from West Wing and then
yes.
Donna from
We
Suits.
all
Both
need
of
a
them.
Donna in our life. That's all I'm saying. Those are the two best Donnas ever. I'm just saying, you know.
So
You're right.
freaking
Great
good. But
honorable
yeah,
mentions. Like,
literally just thought about that as we were talking.
and the
It's
scope
hilarious.
of those two Donnas are so radically different and yet
So
so
much.
necessary in life, right? Like, oh
Yeah.
my god. They should do
Be
a
sure to
show
check
together.
out-
Oh my god.
my
they
God.
that would be amazing. As the
I would love
Donnas.
it.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, it would be a crossover of epic proportion. The two Donnas on the show together and talking constantly about what they do for their men. Holy shit, that would be epic. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
like,
gosh,
make
that's
that happen.
hilarious.
Somebody make that happen. We'll make that happen. Fuck, let's do it.
Right. Exactly. Well, anyway, guys, to the top fives. My number five goes to Peyton Sawyer from One Tree Hill.
Ooh.
You guys are like, what? One Tree Hill? Yes, One Tree Hill. I have been binge watching this show with Emily, my fiance, and it's just honestly so freaking good. You guys know we love the teenage angst, and but they deal with a lot of like real life stuff
No,
that
yeah.
happens throughout like history without life. And I mean, we just got done watching a school shooter episode, and you know how relevant that is right now. But I mean, if you guys don't know, Peyton Sawyer is played by Hillary Burton. She is an absolutely amazing character who is very into her emotions. She's very much into music. She even becomes like this kind of like event planner for a club in One Tree Hill where she does partake in some narcotics, I guess you could say, but her love for the music brings her back to reality, gets her away from all of that stuff. So to, of course, like I said, I'm just in season 3, so I don't know where she goes throughout there. But I would have loved to see her have her own show in the music industry, either being a producer or being a manager or an agent or something like that. But her character is so down to earth, so wholesome, but relies on too many different people. That's my gripe with her. That's my gripe. But anyway, Peyton Sawyer from One Tree Hill definitely deserves her own show.
There you go. And look, those early 2000s teen angst shows, they were slaying back. I know they took a lot of flack from a lot of people, but if you actually go watch them, like you said, they're hardcore dramas that deal with some serious shit. It's the 20th anniversary of the OC, and I binge watched the crap out of that, and it was like that same thing, suicides and drug use and like all kinds of heavy shit that's like really good. I mean, so yeah, I highly encourage people. Honorable mention. I think that Taylor Townsend should have gotten her own show. A great spinoff would have been amazing. But I have Autumn Reeser on the list for something else. We'll get there. My number 5, and I've said this numerous times, and if you go back and listen to any of our shows, you'll know this guy had to be on my list because I literally think he steals every single thing he's ever been in. If he's on screen, he steals the show and or the movie. I am talking about the one and only Johnny Bernthal, and I am talking about his character, Michael Berzatto from The Bear. Guys, we only see him in flashbacks because, you know, no spoiler alerts, but here comes a spoiler alert. He kills himself, so we only see him in flashbacks. But the story of his character, Michael, and the ramifications that it has on the rest of the family going forward and how it sets up The Bear, I want to see more. I want to see Michael and his restaurant and the starting of his restaurant and the downturn into the drug addiction and the shady shit going that we know ends up happening. I want to see all that. I want to see how he got there, how it ended up that way, what caused the disruption in the relationship with the family and like all that kind of stuff. Every time they hint at it, I want to know more. And these flashback scenes are not giving me enough. Like I need more. So I'd like to see a prequel to The Bear. I'd like to see the Michael story. I'd like to see that play out. And I think Bernthal would fucking slay at it because he slays at everything. I'm just saying.
Literally.
So my number 5, Michael Berzatto from The Bear, Mr. Johnny Bernthal.
So good, man. So good. Yeah, I share the love. I share the love. That's for sure. Number 4 for me goes to another One Tree Hill who would completely have a different type of show than Peyton did. And I'm talking about Brooke Davis, Peyton's best friend, who is played by Sophia Bush, who is actually a remarkable actress. She is so freaking good. And every time she steps on screen, her beauty just distracts you from everything else, but her talent overcomes her beauty. So it's always amazing to see her step on screen. But her whole storyline is she's super big into fashion. So she could have taken like a Emily in Paris type of thing where she would have went to New York and like started her own fashion line and like all of these different things, because she's gone through, so far of what I've watched, she has gone through this development of her thinking she needs people around her, but then realizing the amount of self-love that she has, and really she is all she needs. So she's a very independent woman, and I felt like her character would have been an amazing example for high school girls, junior high girls, realizing that you don't need a man to be successful or happy or anything. You don't need a man for anything. But I just, I loved her character so much, and her character development from season 1 even to season 3 to where we are now is absolutely amazing, because she starts out of just this typical high school bitch kind of sleeping around with a couple of different people because she's just living life. She's having fun.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But of course, you have those stereotypical words that they use for women who do these type of things.
For sure.
So that was very much in play. But to where she's at now, being so independent and her character, it's honestly amazing to see. So yeah, I had to put the one and only Brooke Davis, Sophia Bush, on the list at number 4.
Well, there you go. And that leads perfectly into my number 4, because you said strong, independent woman that's finding herself and her place and how she handles her business. My number 4 is Lizzie Grant from Entourage, the only woman that puts Ari Gold in his place. Basically, bitch slaps him right back and says, "No, sir, motherfucker, I'm in charge." I think it was brilliant. You know, if you guys are familiar with the show, you know Ari is like this just like uber agent who's gotten control of everything, and he's a player and he's all this kind of thing. And then Lizzie comes along and she ain't taking his shit. She's like, you are not going to sleep with me. You are not going to do this to me. I am going to do this. And I think now more than ever, that character would be so relevant with the Me Too movement and all of the stuff that we're still hearing about these women being dominated by the men, or this shady shit going on. To have a woman in control and say, nuh-uh, motherfucker, this is my firm. I do this. I'm in, and not take that shit from men in this industry. I think it would slay. I think it would be a huge hit. I am hoping that Doug is hearing me. I know he said he agrees that Autumn should have her own show, so let's make that happen, Doug. Like, I think Lizzie would be fucking awesome. Of course, played by Autumn Reeser. And, I just think it would be relevant and timely, and I'd like to see her just kick some fucking ass. Like, you can have some Entourage boys pop in, periodically as guest stars or something. I think it would be huge. And come on. I mean, it was a huge hit for Max back in the day.
Yeah.
HBO. So, I mean, and people are always talking about a revival. And if you're not going to do a revival, then do a spinoff. Have this be. I think it would slay, man. I think it would slay. Lizzie Grant, Entourage.
Yes, so good, man. So good. My number 3 goes to Lip Gallagher from Shameless. Jeremy Allen White is quickly becoming one of my favorite actors. Just something about him, man. He steals the show every time he comes on screen. Sure. He is so freaking talented. I'm super excited for that film, that wrestling film that he's got coming out with Zac-Efron, because I feel like him and Zach kind of have these cult fandom phenomena followings from so many different type of things. But Lip Gallagher is the definition of having so much potential, but being a product of your environment. So it's something that I feel like is very important to keep showing the world, because he was passing school and getting into college without even trying, making it like straight A's, having all of these apprenticeships with tech companies. And like I said, not even trying, but being so affiliated with where he came from, it kind of just took him down a wrong path where alcoholism ran in his family, addiction ran in his family. So that became something that was a problem for him, and how that developed further throughout the seasons of Shameless. But I just feel like overall, he's the brother hero, because no matter what feelings he's having towards his siblings, either Fiona or Ian or Debbie or any of them, he's gonna have your back, right? And no matter what, he'll be there to fuck some people up. Even Frank, who is the family fuck up, he was there to help Frank when it's needed. So I loved his character overall, so that's why I had to put on my list. Lip Gallagher from Shameless at number 3.
Sure. And it's the perfect definition of don't judge a book by its cover. Right?
Yeah.
You look at him and where he comes from in his family, and you just assume he's this, but he's actually like a genius who can excel in life and just like rule the world if he wanted to. On the flip side of that, and with the mental health aspect of it, if you hear it so often, you start to believe it. And so people judging him and thinking he's a fuck up because he comes from a fucked up family and he must be you start to believe that shit, and he starts to go down the wrong path, even though he knows that's not who he is. And so, it was a brilliantly written character, played brilliantly by Jeremy. And I agree. I'd love to see that as a spinoff. That would be amazing to see where he's at. What's he doing? How do you, where do you end up? That'd be fucking fantastic. My number 3, and I'm hoping, maybe since this is the final season of Billions and we are getting some new ones, maybe we see my number 3 pop up somewhere. And I'd love to see her in her own fucking show. Kate Sacker from Billions. Talk about a strong, independent woman that doesn't take shit and keeps the men in line. That is Kate. And let me say this. With Damian Lewis and Paul Giamatti and now, Corey Stoll and all these like extremely powerful actors, gifted, phenomenally talented actors that she's in these scenes with, she steals every fucking scene. She is so captivating. You are drawn to her and her character. And she is just amazing. I can't wait to see in this final season where Kate ends up. And wherever it is, I want to see a spinoff. I want to see her run for politics or run for office or do whatever she's going to do, because her character is so interesting. The where she came from, the backstory, how she doesn't let the fact that her family was wealthy interfere with her doing what's right for the not wealthy, and like all, but then flips. It's like, hey, I've put up with this shit for too long from Chuck. I'm going to go flip to the dark side and go work for the very wealthy that I said I was trying to be against. And it's a very interesting dynamic. But then even on that side, she gets to that side and still don't take shit. She's like, I'm not going to do that. Y'all want me to be shady? I'm coming to be with you, but I'm not going to be shady. I'm going to do this shit right. And it's just a very interesting character. She's played, of course, by the one and only amazing Condola Rashad, or just Dola Rashad now. I don't know if they're going to change her name on the thing. She's just going by Dola now. One name. She doesn't even need Rashad anymore. She's just Dola. Follow her on Instagram, Dola Bunny. Very interesting account. She's getting behind the camera now with directing and everything too. But I would love to see Kate get her own show. I think it would be brilliant. It's a very interesting character that I feel like, even though the show's been on 6 years, we've just scratched the surface of her character. I want to see so much more of that character. So Kate Sacker, billions.
Oh, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. So for my next one, at number 2, goes to Larry Bird from Winning Time.
Yeah.
This is the tease that I teased a little bit earlier in industry news. I mean, I feel like back in this time period, you were either Team Bird or Team Magic. So, I mean, just
Facts.
to have a separate series with all of the same actors playing the same characters, I feel like would be so beneficial, you know? I mean, of course, like the people who are playing on the Lakers side pop in for 1 or 2 episodes because that's what Bird does for the Winning Time. So you wouldn't have to like overwork them that way. But I just feel like, you know, the way that Boston embraced Larry Bird and like put him up on a pedestal was absolutely crazy. And there's no doubt about it. Like, he is one of the most talented basketball players to ever play the freaking game. He will tell you how he's about to school you and does it the exact same way. It is an amazing thing. If you guys don't know anything about Larry Bird, please educate yourselves. He's an Indiana guy, so that's why I'm so passionate about him. But this man literally won the 3-point contest without even trying, didn't even take off his jacket. Anyway, but he deserves his own show because he is such a amazing freaking character. I even heard a story one time from Paul George, who played for the Pacers in Indianapolis when Larry Bird was the president of the Pacers. And it was after practice, you know, Paul George was getting up some extra shots. Larry Bird comes out of the office, walks out onto the court, picks up the ball, shoots a 3 like it's nothing. And he looks at Paul and says, "Still got it," and then walks off. Like that. I mean, he's just one of those cool, epic icons that deserves his own show too. I mean, if Showtime is getting their own show, I feel like this dude does deserve it as well. One of the best of all time.
A couple of things there. One, like I said, I think Winning Time is doing a really good job of this, and I would like to see more of it. Like you said, for a lot of people don't realize, he wasn't just like massively talented. Bird was a brawler. He didn't take any shit, man. He would like choke lock people and like he'd be hitting on people, throwing elbows. This man played some rough ball, man. He didn't take any shit from people back in the day. And I love that. And they're doing a pretty good job of hinting at that this guy was not a pushover. He wasn't just a guy that shot threes. He could get into the paint and throw some elbows and light you up. And I love that they're doing that. It's also another thing. I think this would be very interesting. And I think Max has an interesting opportunity there. You do Winning Time, and you tell the whole story of the 80s from the Lakers' point of view, from Magic's point of view. Reverse it. Now tell that whole story from Bird's point of view. We're hearing what Magic thought and how Magic thought it all went down, but how did Bird think it went all down? What's his side of the story? They have a real opportunity to do another whole couple seasons of the reverse side of the story. And then maybe you even plug in going to the 90s about how all of a sudden Magic and Bird weren't rivals, but they actually teamed for the same hatred for that young new guy coming up called fucking Jordan. Who's this motherfucker trying to steal the limelight, right? Like, there's opportunity. Maybe they turned it into an anthology series. Here's the Lakers' point of view. Here's the Celtics' point of view. Here come the Bulls. Let's hear Michael's side of view. I think it would be really fucking badass. I like that idea. Too, man. I like that idea.
I mean, it's so freaking epic. Deserves so much. And yeah, I think this second season of Winning Time is going to go deeper into their hatred, because literally the episode ends with, so Magic is injured and he comes back to a game, and of course they're playing the Celtics, and he walks onto the court, and then Bird is just like, so watch how I do this in your house when you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Magic's just like, I hate that motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying. A brawler. He's like, let me get in your face and taunt you. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. My number 2, and I say this very adamantly because they had an opportunity to do this, and then NBC decided not to. What the fuck? I'm talking about Josh Lyman from The West Wing. Josh, they set it up. He was the campaign manager. Jimmy Smits was the Santos running for president. He wins. Josh is going to be the chief of staff. He's going to be Leo. He's going to be the new Leo, right? They have that all set to go. New president, new chief of staff. Let's run with it. Let's do another 4 years. I wanted to really see. Speaking of Donna, Josh and Donna, how did that relationship play out? Did they get together? Did they not? Was it good? Was it bad? I wanted to see so much more of that. I think Bradley Whitford and his portrayal of Josh Lyman, the good guy, always conflicted about trying to do the right thing, but sometimes crosses the line, and the whole series or point of line when he gets shot and the traumatic post-stress disorder from it, and like, it was such a brilliantly written character, and there was so much more to tell of his story. Because I feel like the whole run of The West Wing, he was always trying to live up to Leo's expectations and Leo, right? And then he gets it, and he has the opportunity to do it. And losing Leo and how that affected him, and there was so much opportunity for a show there. And I'm like, what the fuck did you pass on that for, NBC? God damn it. And they keep teasing us with Sorkin getting together with all of them, going, hey, you guys want to come back, kind of a thing. I think there's opportunity there. And I think that character, Josh Lyman, is such a well-written character by Sorkin and portrayed so well by Bradley that it screams to have his own series. I want to see where Josh is now. I want to see where that development went, that relationships that he had. Did he stay in politics after Santos's win? Was it a successful 2-term? Did they run into... I want to know. I want to know what happened to him. Did he decide to run himself? Right. I mean, there's so much there. Josh Lyman, The West Wing. Let's make it the old gray Bradley, kind of old and grizzled now. I want to see it.
It's so funny, man. So funny. Well, number 1 for me, he's getting his own show. So we're just waiting. We're playing the waiting game on that one. But,
this one happened.
This one is like one of the best characters of all time, in my opinion, from one of the best shows of all time. Literally multiple episodes rated 9.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm talking about Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Come on, man. One of the best shows of all freaking time. The honor and integrity and the undoubtable, just loyalty that he had to this family that he didn't even know was his family is absolutely amazing. And every scene that Kit Harington was in just knocked it out of the park, man. He went toe to toe with some big people. Yeah. So to be able to, hold your own in this master class of freaking actors out on set every single day, I just, and meeting his wife on set, and I just, he's an amazing actor. It's an amazing character. Everybody loved that character. Everybody was so sad when he died, and then everybody was happy when he got brought back to life. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
What? No.
Yeah. But yeah, number 1 for me, Jon Snow from Game of Thrones.
You know, I'm right there with you. I feel like Kit Harington is like John Bernthal. He steals everything that he's in, and yet he's one of the most underrated actors out there. Like, how is this guy not winning just award after award after award? Because he steals literally everything he's in, just like Bernthal does. Like, give this guy credit, man. I hope this show is a massive hit for him, and he finally gets the cred that he deserves. I'm really hoping for that.
Facts.
My number one... I think this would just be fucking epic, whether it's a movie or a television series. Lois Lane, right? Lois Lane is always the revered history of Lois Lane, the badass Pulitzer Prize winning reporter that dominates the Daily Planet, the golden, child, the reporter everybody aspires to be, this badass woman who doesn't take any shit. Don't you want to see how she got there? Don't you want to see where the reputation comes from? I want to see Lois before Superman, before Clark. I want to see how she...
origin story.
Yeah, I want to see how she got that reputation. And at one point they were talking about doing a series based on a comic book run where her and Luther were actually kind of in cohorts working together to take down the seedy mafia mob type scene in Metropolis, where they were actually... romantically linked, possibly, prior to. I think that would make for an epic series. His turn towards the dark side, her, propelling into the limelight of becoming this badass person. And I feel like there's so much opportunity there. What happens between their relationship? Why does he start to go bad? Why didn't the romantic side work out? Was it because of his ego and he wanted the credit and she's getting all the credit and is soaring while he's not? And does that start the elevation and the turns? And I feel like there's so much of a story there to tell because we never get it. We always hear about how she's this badass person. We always hear about all these awards she won. We always hear about all this investigative shit that she... But I want to see it. And if you cast the right person, like I said, whether in a movie or a TV show, and run with that storyline, I think that could make a really dark, gritty, like FX type series, where it is dark. Let's make it TV mature and get into the nitty gritty of it, because I think that's Lois Lane that we want to see. We all know the good Lois Lane that loves Clark and is, but we've heard the stories. And I want to see the stories. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Lois Lane, my number one. Let's make that happen.
I love it. Well, we want to know, what is your favorite minor character that you love in a film or TV series that should get their own film or TV series?
Yes.
So many different freaking options, guys. Yes. It was hard.
It was really hard. He's dropping some good categories on us lately, man. Shout out to Jason, man. It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the box office recap, like we told you in the industry news, Barbie still at number one with $53 million. Number two was Meg 2, The Trench, with $30 million, which I'm surprised it got that because it was rough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen a lot of reviews about this thing and it did not go over well.
No, that shark's going to be swimming back down to the trench after that weekend because I think it's going to drop real quick.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. And number three is Oppenheimer. I love that it's still up there. I love that it's still almost $30 million that it brought in. So good to know. Still, go see Oppenheimer.
Yes.
So freaking great. Number four is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Came in at number 4 with 28 million. It honestly looked like they tried to take a stab at Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And to give them credit, they did say that those films opened up the door for movies like these. So at least you gave it credit and are not just like full on copying. I feel like that's when you get that respect. That's when you get people who are like, okay, I see you. Let's go see. Let's see what it's like.
Yeah, like when you admit that's the inspiration for what you're trying to do, right? Like we make that with the Ravens vision. We're like, fuck Suits and Billions and Succession and all these. It's our inspiration. Like, it's like, why lie about it? Fuck.
Exactly. And number 5 was Haunted Mansion with 9 million. So I'm surprised that's still there. So that's very
Iger talks about that too in the earnings call about the hits and misses and the flops that they've had recently. He's not too happy about that.
Yeah. Well, the movies for the next 3 weeks because we're trying to just round out August and there's not a lot coming out because they're
There's
trying to
really not.
capitalize on the success. The Last Voyage of Demeter.
Yeah.
That one's that like Dracula movie, basically. I'm actually really curious about
I
that
want to
one.
see this one too. I'm kind of pumped about it.
Yeah, like, and I mean, it's fucking Dre from Straight Outta Compton, so you
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's very interesting and a very different take, which I feel like these type of characters need, you know.
For sure. Stephen
Blue
King signed
Beetle,
off on it, bro. Like, I mean, if the
wow,
King of
even
Horror
more
signed
so.
off and said it was a throat tingling, scary movie, then I feel like it is.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, Blue Beetle and the Strays, that one comes out on the 18th,
Yep.
and that pretty much wraps up August. And in the meantime, you can still go see Sound of Freedom, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One, Talk to Me, Indiana Jones: Dial of Destiny, Elemental, and of course the other ones that I named in the top five box office recap.
Yes.
So heading over to the IMDb Pros top trending segment, Oppenheimer is number one. I am so happy that this film is getting much recognition
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna lie, when we were still like in post production with it, I felt like I was worried that not a lot of people would go see it and that it was only going to make like $30 million opening weekend. And, you know, but I'm just so happy that a filmmaker's film is actually doing really well, you
For
know?
sure. And can we finally get an Oscar for casting director? Because John Papsadera fucking deserves an Oscar. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, all the different actors that just freaking killed it in this thing.
Yes.
Like it was amazing. No, the TV show is The Witcher. That's top trending TV show that's either about to come back or already come
I
back.
think
It
it
came
already
back.
came back. Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes sense. And the top trending star, of course, for the sad reasons, Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
If you guys don't
Yeah.
know, yeah. So that one is sad. A lot of people coming out in support and saying how much he impacted their life. So that one's
And
rough.
much respect to him. He kind of went the Chadwick Boseman way and kept his battle very private. Not a lot of people even knew he was going through it. So, not easy to do sometimes. And I have a lot of respect for people
Mhm.
who don't want to put it out there, you know? And
Yeah,
it just,
exactly.
yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for getting crazy with us on episode
Yes. We're
231 of
back,
Inside the
baby.
Crazy Ant Farm. Love it, man. Absolutely love it. We're hoping to have more news about everything coming with the strikes. So be sure to stay tuned for that and the rest stuff. You know, all the craziness. But that's why you got to follow us on social media at Crazy Ant Media, at ITCAFpodcast, at Everything's OKP. We're anywhere and everywhere on social media, so be sure to find us. And we're anywhere and everywhere on social media personally as well. Myself at J Logan Austin, and
At Crazy Ant CEO.
yes, I love it. I love it. And you guys know you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast at ITCAFpodcast. And we're on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. If you're watching this video on YouTube, we appreciate you. Be sure to hit that like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell for all the latest and
Boom.
greatest
Oh, yeah.
notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media or the entertainment industry. Because
Yes.
you guys know if it's going down in Hollywood, we are talking about it.
Yes.
And be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We have everything, guys. Look, I just wanted to move the microphone real quick so you can see so much different stuff happening so much. We have some summer designs right now, so
My
be sure to
hat,
check
too.
those out.
My hat. You can't see it's backwards, but my hat is Crazy Ant, too.
See, we're just supporting the brand, man.
It's everywhere.
Supporting the brand. But honestly, it always, anytime we take a little break, even like we just skipped a week,
Yeah.
but it's always nice to come back after that week because it's something that, yes, the EOP is very therapeutic for all of our past stuff and some stuff we deal with now, but ITCAF is a very good distraction from everything and to talk about things that we know and love. And to just stay up to date with all of this different stuff. Because not only does it help the up and comers stay up to date with everything, but it helps us stay up to date with everything as well. So it's very freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, man. It's our passion. It's what we love. And so to be able to talk about it and give our feelings and just, it's literally my favorite day of the week every time we do it. It's just, I can't wait to do. The only other thing that makes me that happy is when we're actually on a set filming and doing stuff. Other than that, it's talking about it and firing it up and getting it, man. So yeah, I love it. Always fun to be back.
So freaking good. So freaking good. And you guys know we love the one, the only
Oprah!